Section 1, a new U.S. travel ban, what we know so far. Right now there's a lot of talk about a new travel ban being considered by the United States government. This isn't just a small change, it's a huge proposal that could affect millions of people, especially those living in Africa. A travel ban is when a country decides to stop or limit people from certain other countries from entering its borders. According to news reports that came out just this weekend, the American government is thinking about putting new strict travel rules on 36 different countries around the world. What's really caught everyone's attention is that a large number of these nations, 25 in total, are in Africa. This has caused a lot of worry and confusion for families, businesses, and governments across the continent. The news broke after a confidential memo from the US State Department was leaked to the press. This internal document, signed by the Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Saturday, June 14, 2025, was sent to American diplomats. It outlines a plan to potentially restrict visas for citizens from these nations. Among the many African countries listed, the plan specifically highlights 5 key nations that could face these new rules. Media Group, Lagos City Skyline, Crowded Street in Nigeria, Nigerian passport, Nigerian flag at its stock at distribute_equally, Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa, Ethiopia, a major partner in the Horn of Africa, Ghana, known for its stable democracy, as well as Senegal and Malawi. For the people in these countries, the possibility of being cut off from traveling to the US is a very real and frightening thought. This isn't just a vague idea. The American government has given these countries a very tight deadline to act. According to the leaked information, the governments of the affected nations have been given a 60-day window to meet a new set of American security standards. If they don't meet these requirements in time, the travel restrictions could be put into place. The memo even set a deadline for this Wednesday morning for these countries to send in their initial plans explaining how they will cooperate. This puts immense pressure on these African governments to respond very quickly to demands that could be very difficult for them to meet. For many people, this news feels like a step backwards. The United States has always been seen as a land of opportunity, a place for education, family connections, and business. A ban like this could close that door for an entire generation. It affects Media Group, African students studying with US college brochure, African students in classroom, student packing suitcase at its stock at distribute_equally, students who dream of attending American universities, families who are separated by oceans and rely on visits to stay connected, and entrepreneurs who have built partnerships with American companies. The uncertainty of it all is what is most difficult right now. People are left wondering if their plans, their hopes, and their futures are about to be put on hold indefinitely, all because of a policy made thousands of miles away. Section 2, the reasons behind the proposed ban. So why is the United States considering such a drastic move? According to the information that has been made public, the American government has given 3 main reasons for this potential travel ban. The first reason is something called visa overstays. This happens when a person enters the US on a temporary visa, like for a holiday or for business, but then stays in the country longer than they are allowed to. The US government says that there are high numbers of people from these specific African countries who have overstayed their visas, and they see this as a major immigration problem that they need to control. The second reason is about security. The US government has raised concerns about what it calls deficiencies in national security vetting. This is a bit of jargon, but it basically means that the US is not confident in the security systems of these African nations. They are worried that the identity documents like passports and national ID cards issued by these countries are not secure enough. They also claim there are problems with how these countries share information about their citizens with the United States, which they believe could allow dangerous individuals to enter America without being properly checked. This is a very serious accusation and puts the spotlight on the internal security processes of each nation. The third reason, and one that seems very important to the US, is a lack of cooperation on deportations. When the United States decides to deport someone, meaning to send them back to their home country, they need that person's home country to agree to take them back. The US government claims that some of the targeted African nations have not been cooperating with this process. They say these countries are either slow to provide travel documents for their own citizens or in some cases refuse to accept them at all. The leaked memo suggests that if these countries start cooperating more on deportations, it could help them avoid the travel ban. These reasons paint a picture of an American administration that is focused heavily on immigration enforcement and national security. This approach is part of a wider policy under President Trump's second term, which is aimed to tighten control over who enters and stays in the United States. In January of this year, the president signed an order telling the State Department to find countries that weren't meeting U.S. security standards. This latest proposal seems to be the direct result of that order. It shows a clear strategy. If countries do not meet American demands on immigration and security, they risk facing serious consequences like this travel ban. If this travel ban goes ahead, the impact will be felt far beyond government offices. It will hit the economies of these African nations very hard. Many of the countries on the list, like Ghana and Senegal, have been working to build up their tourism industries, and American tourists are a big part of that. A ban would likely cause a sharp drop in visitors from the United States, leading to less money for hotels, restaurants, and local tour guides. Beyond tourism, business relationships would also suffer. A lot of trade and investment depends on people being able to travel, meet face-to-face, and build trust. This ban could put a stop to that, damaging economic growth and costing people their jobs. But you know, the economy is only part of the story. The real cost of a policy like this is often measured in human terms, in the lives that are disrupted. Think about the thousands of families who are spread across continents. Many people from Nigeria, Ethiopia, and other African nations have relatives living in the United States. They rely on being able to visit each other for weddings, funerals, and important family moments. A travel ban would make these reunions impossible, separating parents from their children and grandparents from their grandchildren. It would create a painful distance that no amount of video calls can truly fix, affecting the emotional well-being of countless families. Education and personal growth are also at risk. The United States is home to some of the world's best universities, and for decades the brightest students from Africa have dreamed of studying there. These students don't just get an education, they also build bridges between cultures, sharing their perspectives and learning about America. A travel ban would block this important exchange. It would deny talented young people the opportunity to reach their full potential, and would also deny American universities the diversity and talent that these students bring. This could have long-term consequences, creating a generation of leaders and innovators who feel excluded by the United States. Finally, a ban like this would deeply damage the relationship between the United States and these African nations. Diplomacy is built on trust and mutual respect. Singling out these countries and threatening them with a ban can be seen as disrespectful and unfair. It could make it much harder for the countries to work together on other important issues, like fighting terrorism, managing global health crises, or promoting trade. Instead of building partnerships, a travel ban creates walls. It sends a message that the people from these nations are not welcome, which can lead to feelings of anger and resentment that could take many years to heal. As soon as news of the proposed ban came out, criticism came quickly and strongly from many different groups. Civil rights organizations in the United States were among the first to speak out. They have argued that this policy is discriminatory and unfairly targets countries with predominantly black and brown populations. Critics point out that this looks like another version of the travel bans seen during President Trump's first term, which were also widely condemned for being biased. They believe that punishing entire nations for the actions of a few is unjust, and that a better approach would be to work together with these countries to solve any security issues. African governments have been put in a very difficult position. As of today, June 16, 2025, many are still trying to get clear information from the United States. Officials from several of the affected countries have said they are seeking clarification and want to understand exactly what they need to do to avoid the ban. There is a sense of frustration that such a major policy could be announced without direct communication first. These governments now have to balance protecting their national pride with the need to maintain a good relationship with a global superpower. They are under enormous pressure to respond to the US demands, while also answering to their own citizens who feel unfairly targeted. The White House and the State Department have been very quiet so far. They have not made any official public comments on the leaked memo. When asked by journalists, a State Department spokesperson said that they are always reviewing policies to keep Americans safe, but would not comment on internal discussions. This lack of a clear public statement only adds to the uncertainty. Without official confirmation, everyone is left to wonder what will happen next. Will the ban be implemented? Will the African nations be able to meet the deadlines? The answers to these questions will have a massive impact on millions of people. So, what is the path forward? For now, the world is watching and waiting. The next few days will be critical as the deadline for the African nations to submit their action plans approaches. It is a moment that shows the deep divisions in our world today between powerful nations and developing ones, and between security concerns and human connections. The story of this proposed travel ban is more than just a headline. It is about real people, real families, and real futures hanging in the balance. How this situation unfolds will tell us a lot about the state of international relations and the kind of world we are building for the future.